New York City. Just say the name, right? And what pops into your head? Skyscrapers, yellow cabs, you can almost hear it. It really feels like the center of the universe. But why is that?
I mean, what is it that takes New York from being just another big city to this global icon? That's the question we're going to dig into today.
So first things first, we've got to talk about the city's identity. It's just powerful. There's nothing else quite like it, and a huge part of that comes down to its sheer scale.
And when I say big, I mean it. It's the largest and, you could argue, the most influential city in the entire country. And get this, it's not some new thing. New York has been the biggest city in the US since the very first census way back in 1790. That's what, over 230 years of being number one? That's some serious staying power.
Think about how deep that influence runs. The street names themselves are like global brands. You say Wall Street, and everyone everywhere thinks finance. You say Broadway, and you're talking about theater. Fifth Avenue, high-end shopping. These aren't just spots on a map. They're ideas, you know? They're totally baked into how we all think. But of course, with New York, it's never that simple, is it? To really get a feel for the place, you have to lean into its contradictions. It's this city of powerful opposites. So on one hand, you've got this dream of New York, the shining city of endless possibility. But on the other hand, well, there's the reality of it being famously crowded, maybe even a little scary. It's the place you go for upward mobility, but man, it'll test your limits. And that tension, that constant push and pull, that's where all that famous New York energy comes from. You know, the author James Fenimore Cooper really hit the nail on the head. He pointed out that New York can feel like this totally separate, almost foreign country. But at the same time, it belongs to all of America. It's kind of like the whole nation city, all at once. And speaking of foreign, just how international is this place? The numbers will blow your mind. Ready? New York City has more Jewish people than Tel Aviv. It's got more Irish people than Dublin, and more Puerto Ricans than San Juan. It's not just a melting pot. It's like a bunch of world capitals decided to squeeze into one megacity.
So you have to wonder, how on earth does one city hold all of that? Well, the answer is actually in how it's built, its physical layout.
You see, the city isn't just one big blob. It's really a collection of 5 totally unique boroughs. You've got Manhattan, the Bronx, Brooklyn, Queens, and Staten Island. And each one has its own vibe, its own history, its own whole identity. Seriously, crossing from one borough to another can feel like you're hopping borders. Okay, so now we're getting to the real secret sauce. The one thing, the one foundational reason why New York is New York. And believe it or not, it all comes down to geology. Yep, you heard me right. The actual land the city sits on was shaped by massive glaciers retreating about 10,000 years ago. I mean, can you imagine the power? They scraped the earth, dropped huge boulders, and this is the most important part, they carved out all the waterways we see today. And those waterways created the city's single biggest advantage, New York Harbor. It's just perfect. It's deep, it's sheltered from the ocean, but it has easy access right out to the Atlantic. That one piece of geography, that was the key that unlocked everything. And you can see the impact almost immediately. Back during the American Revolution, New York was just the 3rd biggest port. Fast forward to the mid-1800s, and it's handling more than half of the entire country's ocean trade. And then, for a solid 50 years in the 20th century, it was the single busiest port on Earth. That's not just growth, that's an explosion.
All right, so let's connect the dots here. How do you get from a harbor carved by glaciers to, well, to Times Square and Wall Street and everything we think of as New York?
Well, it's a really clear cause and effect. A world-class harbor brings in ships. The ships bring in goods and money, commerce. That commerce brings in millions of people, all looking for opportunity. And that constant stream of new people, new ideas, new everything, that's what created the city's restless, always changing personality.
And the scale here is just, it's hard to even wrap your head around. Over half, let me say that again, over half of all the people and goods that ever came into the United States came through this one spot. So New York wasn't just a gateway to America. For a very long time, it was the gateway.
Which, when you think about it, makes it the absolute perfect place for the Statue of Liberty to stand. The city literally became that place Emma Lazarus wrote about, the stage where people from every corner of the globe, the tempest tossed, were turned into Americans, and maybe even more than that, into New Yorkers.
So this is really the key takeaway. The city's geography, the ice, the water, the bedrock, it didn't just carve out a piece of land, it carved out a destiny. It's the literal foundation for everything the city would become.
So right from the start, New York's story has been about arrival, about chaos, and about constantly remaking itself. And that leaves us with a pretty cool question, right? For a city that's built on change, what's it going to become next?